USA Network presents the Professional Bowlers Tour. And tonight, it's the $100,000 Northern Ohio Open. These are the 5 bowlers we'll see tonight. In 5th place is Paul Gibson, whose appearance tonight wasn't decided until the very last shot of match play last night. The 4th place finisher, George Pappas, is one of the consistent clutch bowlers on the PBA Tour. Qualifying 3rd is the 3-time Bowler of the Year, 3-time winner of this event, appearing on the USA Finals for the 2nd week in a row, Mark Roth. In 2nd place is Walter Ray Williams, who is used to throwing things on target. He tossed a perfect game this week and is a 3-time world champion horseshoe thrower. The survivor of the 3 games between those 4 bowlers will face this week's leader, Ted Hannes, who is looking for his first title since 1981. The $100,000 Northern Ohio Open on USA is being brought to you in part by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. By Mobile Detergent Gasoline, power for your everyday driving needs. By Levi's jeans, cords, and shirts for quality and style you can count on. By Duracell, no regular battery looks like it or lasts like it. And by Chevrolet. Chevrolet is USA One, and USA One is taking charge. One of the closest, most exciting finishes in PBA history. Last night, bowlers 2, 3, and 4 finished with 1 pin separating them. And the odd man out is the man to my immediate right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Al Troutwig. Welcome to USA's coverage of the Northern Ohio Open. Mike Durbin, it was close, and unfortunately, you wound up finishing in 6th, but it was really exciting.
Well, it was exciting, Alan. Going into last night's position round, only 87 pins separated 2nd all the way through 9th place. So there were still 9 bowlers in the running. In our format, the winner of each game gets 30 bonus pins, and going into the 8th frame, 2nd through 5th, no position was settled at that particular time. As it turned out, I just missed, and as you already said, there was only 1 pin separating 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, so it was very, very close.
Now, Nelson Burton Jr., had he thrown a strike in his last ball against Paul Gibson, would have knocked Gibson out and put Mike Durbin in. That's how close it was. What we're left with is a very fine field, 5 very good bowlers. We'll start by focusing in on the number 3 bowler, Mark Roth, 2nd week in a row here, looking for PBA title number 28.
Well, as you said, this is Mark's 2nd week in a row. It's his 3rd championship appearance in his last 4 tournaments. He seems to have regained that form that he had in the late 70s where he was dominating the tour. He seems more relaxed now. He won here in 76, 79, and 81, and I know he'd like to win again in 83.
Now, the man who is in 2nd spot, we're not talking about his bowling so much this week, while he has had a great week. We're talking about the unbelievable thing in that he's able to toss a horseshoe with fabulous consistency, almost 90% ringers, and an ability to win 3 world titles. Yet this week, he really proved himself, Walter Ray Williams did, to have great bowling ability, too.
Well, he came through in clutch fashion in that last game. He went from 5th that last game all the way up to 2nd. As you said, he is a championship horseshoe pitcher. He's won 85% of the 200 tournaments that he's entered. He's still looking, though, for victory number 1 on the PBA Tour. I think he'd be willing to trade some of those others for a victory on the PBA Tour.
And he'll be bowling from the 2nd position. At the top spot, bowling 1 game for the championship, he's looking to break a drought, and that's Ted Hannes. Last time he won was 1981. That's a long time between victories.
Well, it certainly is. Ted won in 1981. Last year, he set a record. He won over $93,000 without a victory. This is only his 2nd appearance on the championship round. He led in Grand Prairie this year earlier and lost in a heartbreaker to Guppy Troop. I know he wants to win today because he needs to win to get back into the Firestone Tournament of Champions. He'll give it his best effort.
Well, we'll see those 3 bowlers a little bit later. In Game 1, we will see George Pappas, a great veteran, 7 titles, lots of money, over $500,000, and Paul Gibson, a great athlete and the son of an Air Force family.
Well, the experience factor there has to definitely go to Pappas. Gibson's making only his 2nd TV championship round. Pappas has been in many. He'd have to be the favorite in that opening match.
And before we get started with bowling, a brief departure to give you a little bit of an update on a major story coming out of bowling circles this week. It was announced by the major wire services that the man who made the crew cut famous, Earl Anthony, has decided to retire from the Pro Bowling Tour. On and off the lanes, Earl always symbolized the word champion. But it always wasn't that way. An early attempt on the tour proved to be a failure, and Earl went back home to Tacoma to, as he put it, learn how to bowl. And learn he did. He came back at the age of 31, an age at which most athletes are washed up, and his crew-cut haircut gained him as much attention as his bowling. He overcame the grind of traveling, the frustration of so many near misses, and the press of the media week in and week out. The titles came, and until he had far more than anyone else and more money than anyone else, more than $1 million, he then won his greatest battle, coming back from a heart attack to win and win again. Five-time Bowler of the Year, a PBA Hall of Famer, and most of all, a gentleman all the way. Earl Anthony, the greatest bowler who ever lived? Many think so. 41 titles, $1.2 million. He retires at the age of 45. And so that sets us up for the television finals of the Northern Ohio Open. I'll be making my way back to the broadcast booth, and Mike Durbin will be there in just a little while, but first, he'll sit in the alternate seat as the sixth-place finisher here tonight. Stand by on USA. Bowling is coming up in just a minute, but first, these messages coast to coast.
It takes more than high octane to keep your car performing well. That's why these world-famous stunt drivers rely on mobile detergent gasoline. They know a car with a clean carburetor performs better. It's as simple as that. Mobile detergent gasoline for your everyday driving needs.
A charreada like this is full of great tradition.
And one great tradition just leads to another.
Hola, welcome, ven a gozar.
To dinner time.
Hola, ven,
It's all yours.
I'm Lydia.
And it's all mine.
Bring your thirsty self right here. The rich, smooth taste of Miller beer is what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller time, yours and mine.
Welcome to the rich, smooth taste of Miller High Life.
Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Hola,
You know you're welcome.
vamos.
Everybody's welcome.
Welcome to Miller time, yours and mine.
Levi's beige corduroy. Levi's green corduroy. Levi's blue corduroy. Levi's tan corduroy. White, gray, brown, cream, corduroy.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Chorus, chorus.
Game one of the 1983 Northern Ohio Open will feature a couple of contrasting players. Paul Gibson, looking for title number one, 25 years old, and George Pappas, who's won plenty at the age of 36. 7 titles and more than $500,000. That will be game one as these two go at it on lanes 17 and 18. The alternate, our own Mike Durbin, who will be joining me up in the booth in just a minute. An easy commute this week for Mike from Chagrin Falls, Ohio, and a successful one finishing 6th. Paul Gibson will be the first bowler. He will bowl on the left lane. His average this week, 213.2. Interestingly enough, Mike Durbin had the highest overall average this week of all the bowlers, but still did not finish in the top 5. And as we mentioned, it was quite a competition. 1 pin separating positions 2 and 3, and 1 pin separating positions 3 and 4. And Paul Gibson's victory over Nelson Burton Jr. in Game 42, the final match of match play, resulted in his appearance in the TV finals and eliminated Mike Durbin. Here is Paul Gibson. Quite a life he's had, 25 years of it. And Paul's off to a rocky start. He's quite an athlete. His mother and father both in the Air Force. His mother was a captain for 6 years. He's lived all over the world, in Madrid, Washington, Fort Lauderdale, Travis Air Force Base in California, now calls O'Fallon, Illinois home. His favorite residence, Madrid, Spain.
Shooting for the 1-2-4-10. Has a chance. Just misses it. Starts out with an open. It's interesting, Alan. We're using lane 17 and 18 here, and all week long, lane 17 hooks more than 18. Today, for today's telecast, 18 is hooking more than 17 by the consensus of all the players.
Here's George Pappas, the general, 36 years old, from Charlotte, North Carolina. 215.5 this week.
Starts right out with a ring and 10, and believe me, there were a bunch of those left this week.
I saw you coming back grumbling from many a ball thrown, saying 4, then a 10.
Perfect stop. Ball right in time, just a little early. Good slide. Look at how good he's balanced. Left arm out. Good follow through. You can't do it much better than that. And he only got 9.
He's got nice form, really does.
Cross lane at the 10 pin. Has the spare. We have an excellent vantage point here, sitting right behind lane 18. George Pappas playing right around the 7th board on 18. He's playing a little bit further outside, closer to the channel on lane 17.
George has been to the winner's circle 7 times. This is his second TV appearance this year. He qualified in 3rd position at the Venice Open and lost, finishing 4th to Steve Wunderlich. That was on USA.
He says he's ready today.
Up by 11.
Go high, 4-pin. Is it going to get it? Yes, it is. Pin flew across the lane and got that 4-pin, getting a smile out of George Pappas.
A big smile.
See if we can see what pin it was. The ball goes a little bit tight. Watch the right of your screen. It looked like almost a headpin that came flying back around, but it had to be the 3-pin.
Back to Paul Gibson. Already down by 11 pins.
Ball drifts to the left quite a bit. A little high. 6-10.
Almost left a horrible split.
The lanes are hooking quite a bit today. Most of the week they were on the tight side, and then yesterday, or on the last day of the tournament, they started loosening up a little bit and hooking more. Today they're hooking more yet.
Paul has switched balls. He's now got that malted milk ball in his right hand.
It's another urethane ball. It just hooks less. And, chops the 6 off the 10. What a way to begin. 2 opens the first 2 frames, and right away you can see the experience of Pappas is prevailing over the inexperience of Gibson.
This is about as bad as it can get in your worst nightmare.
Yeah.
2 open frames to start out the first match of the night.
I know the feeling. I've done it before myself.
I mentioned Paul's a great athlete. He's lettered in high school in baseball, golf, cross country, and wrestling, and went to the University of Oklahoma on a golf scholarship. Didn't really dedicate himself to bowling until he was 20.
Has an unusual style. Drifts quite a bit to the left. Gives it too much room again, and another washout. Breaks it down, leaves only the 110, and now he's lost. What happens so many times is that the oil starts carrying down the lanes. See, we can't see how he's drifting to the left here, but he does drift quite a bit. Shoulder opens up, he tries to come back, and he's just lost. Right now the ball's not coming back on 17 and hooking too much on 18.
Just under $9,000 for 28 events.
He switches balls again. And has the spare. Nice conversion.
All right, first mark now for Paul Gibson. It comes in the 3rd frame, but it is still a 22-pin lead for George Pappas.
Switches back to the red ball. Hits that head pin on the left and sends it right into the 10. Nice conversion. What happens is, I was saying, that oil gets carried down the lane from the practice shots, and the lanes tighten up for a little while, and sometimes it confuses the players. Pappas right back in the pocket and gets the 10 pin out this time. That ball actually hit lighter in the pocket than that solid 10. And because it did, the 6 pin was able to go to the wall and snap that 10 out instead of flying around it.
George Pappas now a 32-pin lead, and he will be working on a double as he bowls in the 4th frame, as you see there.
20 in the first, double working. 18 in the second, spare working. The difference, 32 pins. Pappas in full command here. A lot of speed. Solid 10. Just a lot of those left all week long, especially on this pair, especially on lane 17. I left a few on that lane myself last night.
You saw that George had won $35,000 so far this year. He has ranked in the top 25 money winners for 13 consecutive years. He'll need a great fall tour if he hopes to jump into that elite category again.
He's going to have to make about $15,000 more in order to get in that top 25. And he misses the 10-pin. What an opening he gives Gibson.
Well, a breath of fresh air now for the 25-year-old from O'Fallon, Illinois. Stunned cross lane at the 10.
He expected the ball to just sail into it, and it hooked right away from it. Pappas just, I don't know whether he made a bad shot or whether he hadn't practiced it.
Back to Gibson.
Gibson back to the red ball again now.
He's back in it, trailing by 19.
And high again on the right lane, leaves the 3-6-9. Comes back shaking his head. He just doesn't know where to aim or where to throw.
Mike, it's so important when someone leaves the window wide open that you jump all over it, and unfortunately, Paul didn't do that.
Well, it's hard when you don't know where to throw the ball. And right now, he can't get lined up to hit the 1-3 pocket. He's yet to hit it, and he has a difficult spare right here. And nice conversion. Tough spare. It's only 22 pins, though, if Paul could find something, get himself lined up. Missed the head pin twice here on 17.
Paul's best finish so far this year came in Las Vegas when he finished 16th. And if you'll remember, that is the event that Mike Durbin captured with Gil Sliker.
Have fond memories of that.
Yep.
Needs to move a little bit to the right here on this lane. And there he gets it. His first strike coming in the 5th frame.
And the ice is broken by Paul Gibson. His first strike, it came in the 5th frame. One more look. I'm sure he would enjoy seeing it again.
And he gets the old wall shot. Ball comes in light. The head pin goes to the wall and cleans out the 4-5-7.
We are at the midway point of Game 1. Paul Gibson and George Pappas. It is a 22-pin lead for the general from North Carolina. And we'll be back for more on USA in a moment.
One company provides cars and trucks to satisfy the wants and needs of virtually every man and woman in the USA. That's today's Chevrolet. One company puts some of the world's most advanced manufacturing and design facilities to work for America. That's today's Chevrolet. America, you're on the move again. And Chevrolet is providing your wheels. Chevrolet! And you. Taking charge.
My flash didn't work anyway. Dead batteries. I want to try Duracell. Come on. Seriously, Duracell batteries give you 4 times as many flashes.
Regular carbon batteries average less than 50 flashes, but you can count on 200 flash photos and more with Duracell. The copper top battery. No regular battery looks like it.
Or lasts like it.
Jimmy Martin is not a professional bowler, but he's changed the game of bowling forever. With a Martin Lane Reader, you'll be bowling the best scores of your life in minutes. Stop line-finding guesswork. Get the ball into the pocket fast. And here's Jimmy Martin.
Hi, my Lane Reader will show any bowler where to stand on the approach for strikes and spares. I used it to win the 1981 New York State Tournament. As a 162 average bowler, everybody was surprised when I went and averaged 226 to win. Now the pros recommend it. Please listen to what 20-time national champion and PBA Hall of Famer Dick Ricker discovered.
I've known amateurs around the world who are totally amazed at how fast they can line up strikes and pick spares with the Martin Lane Reader. Here's how to order yours.
Order your Martin Lane Reader today. Here's how. For COD Visa and MasterCard orders, call toll-free 1-800-USA-1000. Or save COD charges and send $11.95 plus $2 for postage and handling to Lane Reader, Box 49648, Atlanta, Georgia.
We are back in Fairview Park, Ohio, just a short drive outside of Cleveland on what they call the North Coast on Lake Erie. Al Troutwig along with Mike Durbin. This is George Pappas.
His best finish this year was third at the Venice Open. He's looking to improve that, I know.
A great concentrator, Mike.
Very good. Gets that 4-pin out of there. Didn't quite get that ball out to the target he's aiming at, but it held pocket for him. He's got a great shot going for him on lane 18. He's aiming about the 7th board, and that one hit about the 8th. A little bit tight, 2-pin, stayed low and got that 4-pin right out of there.
One of the things that hurt George was following the double with an open frame in the 4th, and he comes back with a strike in the 5th.
77 to 55, both bowlers on strikes, the difference 22 pins. George, every ball in the pocket. Looking very much here, wants that double. 5 steps, free swing, good follow through, right in the pocket, perfect shot.
I think he has found the groove.
He says, all right, baby.
4 strikes in the first 6 frames and a 32-pin lead now.
And two that didn't strike were both solid 10 pins.
Here's another look at the former president of the PBA as I sit next to the current one.
Right over the first arrow, solid in the 1-3 pocket. Although there were a lot of them that didn't strike hitting that exact same place this week. That 8-pin had a way of standing there laughing at you. Gibson moves a little deeper and it's going high again on the Brooklyn, and he gets it over for a double. Cuts it back to 22 pins. You have to take advantage of everything you can.
Well, we mentioned all the cities he's lived in. I don't think Brooklyn was among them, but here he is.
Well, he loves it right now. It goes to the left side of the head pin. The 3-pin goes to the wall and trips the 6 out as he asks for a re-rack on lane 17. Ironic how the sport of bowling goes. Gibson is really lost right now. Has had 1 ball in the pocket as we see double working for both players, and again the difference 22 pins. And yet if he strikes here, he cuts the lead to just 12 pins. Pappas has had every ball just solid in the 1-3 pocket. Light again. Just can't get up on 17 and going high on 18. Shakes his head. 2-4-5. 82 in the 5th. And not an easy spare.
He's too light, then he's high. He's too light, then he's high. He just can't find that channel up the alley. 60 feet never seemed so far away.
Make it seem pretty far away at times.
Yep.
At the 2-4-5. Throws hard. Has the spare. Nice conversion. Pappas up by 25. On lane 18. Lane 18, probably about 5 boards further left with his feet and 3 with his target to hook more.
George was the 10th bowler to earn.
Oh, he hit his ankle and threw it right in the channel. I can't believe it. I've never seen George Pappas do that ever. Ever in my life. Suddenly the lead is 15 pins and he's got to make this spare. I can't believe it. I've never seen it. Watch it. It comes through and hits his ankle, boom, and just bounces right off and into the channel. What that does, Alan, is not only does that shake your composure up to do that on television, but now you're afraid you're going to do it again the next time, and so you have a tendency to get the ball away from your ankle. He sets himself very carefully.
I was just about to say he was the 10th player to earn that $500,000 in PBA history, and then the disaster struck.
Little right there. What a spare. Boy, that shows a lot of class.
Oh, he
Comes
came away.
right back with that. Oh. You know, we've had a history of players throwing balls in the channel over the years in the PBA. Paul Coleman did it at the National Championship in 1976, and Seattle went on to win the tournament. Larry Lobb once did it in the Firestone Tournament of Champions and won his match. So it seems like guys throwing it in the channel have a way of winning that game.
Well, better on the first ball than the second.
Well, yeah, but that cost him 10 pins and count right away. Just
in the 8th, up by 15.
A little light, and just doesn't make it. Didn't get the lift on that ball that he had before. 2-4-5, and suddenly it's a 12-pin ball game, and he has a tough spare.
Fortunately for George, Paul Gibson got off to the horrible start he did with the 2 open frames in 1 and 2. That gave him a big cushion to play with.
Well, that cushion has been reduced right now, and George has not an easy spare. And the bowlers don't always practice spares in that hour ahead of time. He may not know what the ball's going to do here. Throws it hard and straight right at it, and just gets it. Covers it perfect every pin with the ball. 12 pins. Gibson has his chance now if he can just find a way to get the ball in the pocket. He has only hit the 1-3 pocket one time, and then he was extremely light. Tucks his little finger under, cups that wrist. So many of the players do today. Gives this one a little more room. Trips the 4-pin out.
So Paul Gibson stays right in the middle of things in the 8th frame with a strike. And he has thrown 3 strikes in his last 4 frames.
Well, this is the big strike he's looking for right here. If he wants to win this first match, he has to strike here in the 9th frame.
He's pretty well stone-faced.
He's saying, hold ball. All right.
Goodness.
It's been right on this 8th lane every time. Pretty good shot. Not going to make it up. Just can't get up the hill on 17. Looks at his hands. He didn't get the lift. Leaves it 2-8. And there was his chance right by the board. He just never put any pressure on Pappas.
Ball never seemed to make its move.
It just didn't bite the lane. He just needed to move further right and further outside of the lane, and he would never do it. And now he has a difficult spare.
Well, it's been a tough night for Paul in his first TV appearance of the year.
Has the 2-8. Nice conversion. Keeps himself alive. The difference is still 12 pins. And don't think Pappas isn't thinking about that shot that hit his ankle. George's amazing ability to shake off bad breaks and put them out of his mind and come back and make good shots. He has supreme confidence in himself.
Watch him go through that mental checklist before the release.
Leaves the 4-pin. Great speed on that shot, just a little bit too much. The ball wouldn't quite make it up. He thought it would get there because that lane is hooking. What's happening as the players are bowling, the dressing that the PBA lane maintenance crew has put on the lanes is being carried down the lanes by the bowling balls itself. And the lanes are getting tighter as we play on them. Cross lane at the 4-pin. Has the spare. The difference 11 pins.
Each ball just picks up a little bit of that oil and carries it further down. And
right.
Eventually, after all the practice and all the balls thrown in the games, the conditions of the lanes change.
There we see the difference. Both players on spares, 153 to 142. The best Paul can get is 192 if he strikes out. Pappas, if he strikes spares, would have 193. So he wants a strike on this first ball. This is the key shot of the match for George Pappas. Right there. Solid 8. And we've seen that one before. Maybe not here tonight, but I've seen that on that lane before.
You can watch this replay 100 times and still not quite understand how that pin can remain standing, but it does.
George made his best shot of the match right here. The ball will drive through and chop the 5 straight back off the 8. The 2-pin goes around it to the left, and it's just a freak of bowling, but it happens so many times.
Well, if that pin had hair, it would be blowing in the breeze as those pins sailed by.
Oh, I thought he might have missed it on the left. He gave it a couple choice words, I know that. Now he needs a strike on the fill ball to force Paul Gibson to strike, get 3 strikes and attempt the tie.
George started some businesses in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that took away from his concentration a little bit. But this year he has decided to rededicate himself
George has tremendous talent, tremendous concentration, and he's trying to put it all to work on this shot. Right there again, and this time the 8 pin goes down. He says, thank you.
That's what Gary Skidmore said to me as we were watching him bowl yesterday. He said if I had one bowler to pick to throw a must strike, I'd pick him. And there was a must strike situation, and he threw it.
Right over target. Didn't look up until the ball was past target. Now he knows it's solid again. He says, are you going to carry this time? Well, thank you. Now, he says, no, thank you. Gibson needs one at a time. Pretty shot. He's lined in on the right lane now. And closer to the third arrow. We could have a tie the first match right on the shoot too. Paul needed a double in the 10th frame to make the championship round last night, and he got that. Now he needs 2 more strikes. And the way you take this is you just, as they say, you take it one at a time. Right there again. Solid 10. And Pappas gets a break. And Gibson made a great shot. Sure could have struck. So George Pappas wins our first match, 192. If Gibson makes the spare to 182. Paul just never got lined up on the left lane, and George just couldn't carry. Close match.
192, a 10-pin victory for George Pappas over Paul Gibson, 192 to 182. So for Gibson, a check for $4,000, and for George Pappas, a challenge from Mark Roth. That will come your way in Game 2, but first these messages on USA.
On the coast, 9 to 5 can be a lot of fun. After that, it only gets better.
Welcome to Miller Time. It's all yours and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. The rich, smooth taste of Miller beer is what you have in mind. So welcome to Miller Time.
Welcome to the rich, smooth taste of Miller High Life.
Move that Chevy in next, okay?
5 more minutes.
How's it going?
Busy. We're rolling a lot of tires out of here.
Goodyear's Super Sale.
Right. We're almost through the sale, but we got plenty of tires. Over $250,000 on sale nationwide.
That's a lot.
Not the way they're going here. This one gets a set of radios.
Got 'em.
Great sale prices, great savings. Time and tires are going fast. Be there. The sale ends Saturday, October 29th. Save with #1, Goodyear.
I told you you could lose 10, 15, 25, 50 pounds or more. Would you believe me?
I've already lost 26 pounds.
10 pounds in 15 days. Presenting Super Energizer, the ultimate weight loss product and plan to make sure you lose pounds and inches even faster and easier.
I lost 12 pounds in 15 days.
You can be 10 to 50 pounds thinner. Try Super Energizer. Follow the plan. If you don't lose every pound you want to lose, no matter how many pounds you need to lose, tell us and we'll rush you a second Super Energizer order absolutely positively free.
26 pounds, 18 pounds.
You can do it.
Lose weight fast with Super Energizer. Call toll-free 1-800-USA-1000. Remember, free 24-day supply if you don't lose all the weight you want. So call 1-800-USA-1000 or send $19.95 to Super Energizer, Box 49648, Atlanta, Georgia 30359.
And in Game 2 at the 1983 Northern Ohio Open, George Pappas, who was a 10-pin winner over Paul Gibson in a match that didn't have to be that close, will now face the man who has 27 PBA titles to his credit, tying him with Dick Weber, looking for 28. And on USA for the second week in a row, that, of course, is Mark Roth. Mark, pretty proud of himself, Mike. He told me that in his new foreign sports car, he made it from Wall Township, New Jersey to Fairview Park, Ohio on 1 tank of gas.
Wow.
Not too shabby.
I certainly can't do that in my motorhome, I tell you. Or if I do, it costs me a lot more money than it would him.
If you've ever met a New Yorker, you know that Mark Roth, after you talk to him, is a New Yorker through and through, and that the only thing not New York about him is his address. Earlier, I had a chance to talk to him. This man is smiling because he's made the TV finals for the second week in a row. Mark, do you feel you're throwing the ball as well as you ever have?
I definitely do. Well, I was home on the break, and I bowled a lot, and I really worked hard at my game, and I feel good.
This is as close as they say it's ever been on the PBA Tour. The top five, numbers 2, 3, and 4, separated by 1 pin. It was really close down the stretch. Does that make it a little bit more exciting for you?
Definitely does. You got to go out there and make good shots, and the best of you comes out.
How are the conditions here for you? Last week, it's like you own the house. How about here? You've won this event 3 times.
Well, I like the house a lot, and this year I had a little trouble yesterday morning on the high end of the house, and switched bowling balls, came back bowled well, but throughout the house I had to use 2 different bowling balls.
Mark, you seem sometimes when we're talking very quiet, very reserved, and yet there are some other things in your life that you pursue with great enthusiasm, like your sports followings and so on and so forth. Is this just a psychological priming for what you're going to be doing tonight?
Hopefully, you know, I just try and stay low-key. I've always been low-key, kind of quiet, and I like sports. That's one way of getting everything out of me, and hopefully tonight I can get it out, throw some strikes.
I wanted to tickle him in the middle of that interview. He was being so quiet. But here it is, Mark Roth and George Pappas in Game 2 in the $100,000 Northern Ohio Open. And Mark Roth should feel very, very comfortable on these lanes, winning in 76, winning in 79, and winning in 81, and coming close in 80 as well, the year you won, Mike.
Yes, he bowled well that year also. Pappas defeated Gibson in the first match, 192 to 182, and I'd look for him to bowl more than 192 this match. As he trips the floor in the first shot, he says, all right, baby. 2 experienced players here, your 2nd leading money winner of all time versus your 8th. George tripping the 4-pin. The 2-pin goes to the wall and trips the 4-7.
Back live to Roth.
Roth right through the nose, leaves the 4-6-7 on the first shot. Right lane hooking much more than the left lane.
Mark had the 2nd best average of the week, 2nd to Mike Durbin, 216.2.
He'll throw hard and straight at the 4-7. Try and bounce it out, and gets 8. Ooh.
He came close, but he came up empty.
He had a great shot in practice, and now, again, that oil's carried down the lane a little bit. It's changing things, and he's having the same kind of adjustment problem that Gibson had the first match. Left lane being tighter now. He'll be closer to the 2nd arrow on this lane. No time at all.
14 titles behind Earl Anthony, 27 to his credit.
Comes in light, and there's the old famous Mark Roth strike right there. 7 steps, just no time at all. Watch the height of the backswing. Up above the head, pulls it through, good follow through. Style hasn't changed much. No. He just put on a little weight since about 10 years ago.
He throws the ball like he's mad, and right now he is.
Yeah, that's true.
Pappas already up by 12.
We have such a contrast in styles here. You have the freewheeler, instinct player of Mark Roth versus the disciplined tactician of Pappas. Everything done exactly the same way every time. Splice the target. Good shot. Ooh, solid 4. Boy, George is just making great shots and not getting rewarded for them.
And that can almost get you in trouble if you do make the perfect shot and yet you're not knocking them all down. You might want to make a change, and that could really hurt you. Here's the commissioner of the PBA, Joe Antonora.
He's the captain of our ship. Well, it's a frustrating thing, Alan, that you're making these good shots and not getting strikes, and you begin to it begins to reach you mentally. It can. Of course, if you win the match, then that's the only thing that's important in match play competition. Winning the match is everything. Doesn't matter here whether we bowl 250 or 150 as long as you win.
George's greatest victory, very similar to Mike Durbin's greatest victory, the Firestone Tournament of Champions. He did it 4 years ago.
In 1979, I remember it well. He defeated Dick Richter. Maybe that one more room is not going to make it. 1, 2, 4. And right now, both players are a little bit fishing a little bit. See if Pappas shoots the spare from the same angle that he tried the strike ball right over that first arrow. Yes, he is. I think he's going to shoot it from right around the same angle. Has the spare. Roth is back in the match now. See if he can make the adjustment on lane 18 here. Mark has a way that when his ball goes high, his adjustment is to try and throw harder.
Mark's earnings figures are a reflection of his slackening off on his tour participation this year.
And that light hit again. Moved in just a little bit, twisted it up more. He carries that light hit. Suddenly we have a one-pin match. And that one pin was when he failed to get 9 in that first frame.
Yeah.
There we see the difference. 37 in the second. Pappas spare working. Roth 8 in the first with a double working. Roth is up by 1. Tighter of the two lanes here is high and the Greek church. The 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. And just a little bit short with the shot. Didn't get it out. He thought the ball would hold right here, and it snapped right through the heart of the pins and gets 5.
Is it called a Greek church because you don't have a prayer of making it?
No, it's called the Greek church from the spires that on these old churches that they had. And those pins on either side remind you of those spires. And suddenly it goes from a 1-pin lead to a 20-pin deficit. 20 pins ahead for Pappas.
Very strange. Roth leaving 2 frames open in the first 4. Big break for Pappas.
He's high. And he leaves the split. The 6-7, he gives it right back to him. But I know, George, he is going to give this a shot. He will give this 6-7 a shot.
Yeah, he'll go cross lane, right?
Yes, cross lane, try and hit the 6-pin on the right and slide it over into the 7. He's looking at the score, and I'm sure he's going to give it a shot. Not quite. Just a little bit too full on the 6-pin. Both players open in the 4th frame, the difference 7 pins. And suddenly we have a similar situation happening here that happened in the Molson Challenge Open in Canada, where the players were just striking at will in practice. And when they turn the lights on, suddenly nobody can get any strikes. And we have all kinds of splits and spares, and 64 to 57, both players getting splits. The difference 7 pins.
Pappas on the right of the 2 lanes. I'm sorry, left.
17 to left by now. Over the first arrow. A little high. Trips the 4-7 out of there. Takes a breath of relief. Pappas throws the shot. The 4-pin will go to the wall. The 2-pin will and trip out both the 4-7. And right now, the player who's 32nd on the current money standings list has a 7-pin lead.
2 bad breaks for Mark Roth, 1 bad break for George Pappas. It is a 7-pin differential in the midway point of Game 2. More on USA. We'll return to Fairview Park, Ohio in just a moment.
Taking charge with Cavalier. The hottest selling Chevrolet today. Cavalier. More horsepower than the 3 leading imports with a 2-liter electronically fuel-injected engine. Cavalier. More sedan room than Honda Accord, Nissan Sentra, or Toyota Tercel. The front 5 Cavaliers. Grab one for a cool, low price. Chevrolet! And you. Taking charge.
The Angle Ball. The big winner on last winter's Pro TV Tour. 4 times more wins than any other ball. Inspires Angle winning wear for your winning lifestyle. Angle shirts. Winners wear them everywhere. Angle bowling shoes. Fast lock. Angle bags that travel the world. For your winning lifestyle. Angle winning wear at Pro Shops only.
Oh, here, I'll help. Oh, these sinuses. Wish something could help them.
You're holding it.
New advanced formula Dristan?
Unlike some medicines that relieve 6 sinus cold symptoms, Advanced Formula Dristan goes on to relieve 6 more. Relieves all 12 symptoms with no aspirin, no caffeine.
I'll try it. No aspirin, no caffeine, and no sinus cold miseries.
New Advanced Formula Dristan relieves 12 sinus cold symptoms.
Fresh and clean as a whistle. That's Irish Spring. Fresh and clean as a whistle.
Irish Spring's green and white stripes have 2 truly effective deodorants. 2 deodorants.
And a fine fresh scent. So you're fresh and
clean as a whistle.
That's Irish Spring deodorant soap. Gets you fresh and clean as a whistle.
George in deep concentration as he's waiting for Mark Roth to bowl. Roth also in deep concentration. Mark is our second leading all-time money winner on the PBA Tour with earnings in excess of $866,000. He'll be the next man for certain to break that $1 million mark. And interesting to get in a little bit deeper, and now the ball won't hit. They move a little bit right, and it hooks too much and goes through the nose.
I get uncomfortable when the bowlers go through nights like this. I remember feeling uncomfortable the night of the Molson Challenge because, I mean, the bowlers were so confused. They looked like me out there. And here tonight, it's very similar.
So far, it's very similar, right? Has the 10 pin. See it bounce out of there. Would have had the 7. He made the 7-10 one time on television. He says to himself, he says, a spare. I got a spare. It's his first one of the match.
Still a 7-pin lead for George Pappas as we move into the 6th frame. Pappas working on a strike, Roth working on a spare here in the 6th.
In between frames, Mark put a piece of tape in that thumb to give it a better feel. Solid 8, the second one on lane 17. He says, thank you. And wow, this is turning looking more and more like Canada. We're not too far from Canada here, so.
Mark was telling me today that he made a Fantasy Island episode a couple of years ago with Marshall Holman and Dick Weber, and he could probably use Mr. Rourke right now to fulfill the fantasy of finding out what's going on these lanes.
Well, he got the ball in the pocket the last 2 shots. If he can escape without Pappas throwing some strikes at him, he's still in the match. The difference, 8 pins, Pappas on the right lane trying to make it 18. George has a way of hitching those shoulders and fiddling with that ball.
Look at Roth in the background. He is incensed.
He's hot. He gets hot. Pretty shot by George. Pretty shot.
And that'll make him matter. Definitely.
George, intense concentration right over about the 9th board. The ball holds pocket all the way. 10 pins in the pit. Got that solid 8 up this time.
Roth knows
you can see the steam coming out of the ears.
Well, he failed last week, losing in his first match. And unless something changes here, it'll be 2 weeks in a row.
Pappas up 18, trying to make it 28 with another strike here. Solid 10. Pretty shot, and he's just down on a knee. And the pins just will not let any of the other players get anything going. George knows he's made a good shot right here, right over target. He's moving to the left, says, come on. And you see the disappointment as the 10 pin stands. He missed one in the first match now. Cross lane at the 10 pin, has this one, looks at it all the way.
We should have a contest sometime and just play the reaction, and the folks at home should tell us how many pins were left or what happened. I think so many times they could tell without knowing what did happen. Roth down by 17.
Twisted up more and gets the swisher. Last 3 shots have all been in the 1-3 pocket. Mark absolutely has to strike here. Watch him just twist on it harder. Now watch the ball get that 5 and swish it right in the 7 to 5, just barely getting the 7 out of there. 113 to 96, the difference 17 pins. Roth can cut it to 7 with a double. He's in the pocket and gets a break that time, gets a can opener. And he is, sometimes he bowls his best when he gets his angriest. He's able to take that anger and channel it into knocking those pins down.
Some people can, some people can't. John McEnroe is a perfect example of someone who can.
Now watch this ball as it hits the pins. It will deflect to the right, and I don't know what hit the 10 pin. I think the 9 pin hit the 10 pin. Both the 6 and the 10 just kind of mushroomed off. Pappas is there. Oh, it didn't make it. He thought it was going to come back. Breaks down the bucket for the 5-8, and it's a 5-pin match right now. George swung that shot a little bit more, and where it would have come back a little earlier in the match, that oil being carried down the lane, the ball didn't make it back.
Very similar to game 1. Big lead at the start, and a big scare down the stretch for George Pappas.
He's got a little bit different experience this time. George wondered if he was going to chop the 5 off the 8. We got a smile from him back here. That'd be the ultimate disgrace to chop the 5 off the 8 on television.
A big smile from Pappas. It is a 5-pin differential.
But right now, George's fate is not in his own hands. If he strikes here in the 9th and strikes out in the 10th, he can shoot 211. Mark Roth is potential 216.
We mentioned George won the TOC in '79. This year he finished 12th.
Back in the pocket, and another rig and 10. He smacks his hands. There's just nothing he can do about it. You can't make shots any better. He makes this. His lead is 4 pins, and the hammer is definitely in Roth's hands.
Literally and figuratively.
Cross lane at the 10 pin, has the spare. Roth, who's hit the pocket the last 4 straight balls now, is doing his most important shot of the match right here. Down by 4, can take the lead with a double. He's there and carries the 10 pin. He's ahead by 6. One more, and he locks out George Pappas. One more strike, and Pappas doesn't have a chance. This is his best shot of the match. Way out of the lanes. Look at how far he got that out. Now watch the 6 pin. Just get that 10 stayed low. Did you see how the 6 pin stayed low that time? Didn't go flying over that 10 pin. This is the lane he picked the finish on. Can lock out Pappas with a strike.
When he gets mad, the intimidation factor for his opponent is very great.
He's in the pocket. And he carries. He's done it. He's done it. What a finish. What a finish. It's a familiar style of Mark Roth. The follow through up there, and he knows it's there. He's just saying carry. You see that? That's what he's mouthing. And there's that competitive.
Give that man some raw meat.
One more. Right there. Wow.
Boy, so amazing. What a comeback.
What a comeback is right, man.
Roth leaving the first frame open, leaving the 4th frame open. At one point, Pappas had a 20 pin lead. I think it even jumped up to 21, didn't it? Anyway, it was a big lead, and Roth came storming back.
There he leaves a solid 10 when it doesn't matter. Finishes 215. Pappas sticks out his hand. And while George bowled well, he just never could carry. See the difference in that shot, how nice and relaxed he threw that ball? That's what pressure does to you. It's just so, when it doesn't matter, you know, you're able to make that clean shot. There's Mark, and he knows he's thinking about that next match. He wants to win again. He hasn't won in over a year, and he always seems to bowl well in the fall of the year. Always, every year. Swung that one out. Came back for a 10-pin. Picks it up. He finished with 190. Finished 4th in the tournament. And I know George is disappointed. He wanted to win. George is a competitor through and through, but he's a class gentleman. Really is a credit to the sport of bowling.
A very likable guy. It doesn't take long to get to know what type of guy George Pappas is. A loser tonight. He winds up 1-1, 215 to 190. Mark Roth, the winner for George Pappas, a 4th place finish, $4,500. When we return, Mark Roth moves on to Game 3 in the 1983 Northern Ohio Open. That will come your way on USA in a moment.
Chevy Tough is taking charge. Are you tough enough to make it with the U.S. Army? Chevy trucks are. The Army contracted for 53,000 tough full-size Chevy pickups and Blazers. These rugged four-wheel drives are regular production vehicles powered by the proven 6.2-liter diesel V8. Need a truck as tough as the U.S. Army's? Just sign up at your Chevy dealers today. Chevy Tough is taking charge.
In our world of endless imagination, anything can happen. And those of you who wear Levi's jeans know what I'm talking about. Because anywhere our minds can go, we can follow too. Go ahead, chase a dream. In Levi's jeans.
The Angle Ball, the big winner on last winter's Pro TV Tour. 4 times more wins than any other ball. Inspires Angle winning wear for your winning lifestyle. Angle shirts, winners wear them everywhere. Angle bowling shoes, fast lock. Angle bags that travel the world. For your winning lifestyle, Angle winning wear at pro shops only.
Working around here, a guy gets very wet on the outside and very dry on the inside.
Welcome to Miller Time. It's all yours and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. The rich, smooth taste of Miller beer is what you have in mind. So welcome to Miller Time.
Welcome to the rich, smooth taste of Miller High Life.
The PBA on USA will continue in just a moment. The bowlers will get back to bowling. But first of all, Mike Durbin and I will update you on what's been happening here and around the PBA. We begin with the bowlers 6 through 24 who made it to the final competition.
In 6th place was yours truly, just missing out. Tom Milton on the show last week finished 7th. Paul Mosier bowling well again finished 8th. Nelson Burton Jr., Hall of Famer, was 9th. Rick Fatone, 10th. Ray Shackelford finished 11th. Former Bowler of the Year Wayne Webb, 12th. Sam Zurich finished 13th. Bob Hanley was 14th. Young Pete Weber finished 15th. Alvin Liu continued his good bowling in 16th. Mike Ledig was 17th. Larry Lobb in his 3rd consecutive finals finished 18th. Butch Soper 19th. Dave Ferraro was 20th. Bobby Jacks making a return to the tour finished 21st. Steve Gilgem 22nd. John Force 23rd. And last week's champion rode the elevator all the way to the bottom floor. Steve Cook finished 24th.
It was a super edition of the PBA Tour this week, that's for sure. The top 5 bowlers tonight are competing for their share of the $100,000 total purse here at the Northern Ohio Open. First prize is good for a lucky $13,000. Second prize, $7,500. Third place, $5,500. Fourth, $4,500. Chop $500 more off for the 5th place finish.
And our leaders round by round. The opening round was led by Mark Roth. Roth led the 2nd round. Then Milton took over in round 3, Roth in round 4, and Ted Hannis finished up being the leader in rounds 5 and 6.
Well, we certainly hope that you have been practicing your bowling at home as we leave you with a bowling tip each and every week. Mike Durbin tonight has another edition in his bowling tip series. Mike?
A few years ago, I was having quite a bit of trouble adjusting to some of the lane conditions on the PBA Tour. To try and find a solution, I went to visit a friend of mine in nearby Akron, Ohio. His name is Fred Borden. And he gave me some valuable advice on using different wrist positions to adjust to the varying lane conditions. And that's what today's tip is about. Basically, I believe there are 3 different wrist positions, at least 3 that I'm going to talk about today. First, the straight, then the broken, and finally the more contemporary cupped wrist position. We'll look at the straight wrist position first. This is where I put my hand in the ball, thumb all the way in, I'm right underneath the ball, and the wrist is firm or straight. As I let the ball go, I turn around the ball from my fingers going from about 6 on the clock up to 3. And as I let the ball go, the wrist is straight, yet still relaxed. Now, I believe that this is probably the strongest wrist position there is, and it's one that I use probably 80% of the time on the PBA tour over a wide range of laying conditions. But it doesn't seem to work on all laying conditions, and that leads me to the next wrist position. That is the broken wrist position. Now, when I try and throw the ball this way, I take my wrist and I bend it back in this fashion. And as I let the ball go, I try and stay right behind it and come up straight behind it. It's a weaker position, and the ball goes straighter, more end over end. This helps me adjust to lanes that are on the drier side because my adjustments are smaller. The ball hooks less. It also helps me throw the ball at spares going straighter, especially spares on the right side of the lane. Now, the final wrist position I want to talk about today is the one that we see most often on our USA telecast. That's the cupped or the contemporary style. The wrist is underneath the ball this way, it's cupped up, and it stays this way from beginning throughout the swing and as the bowler lets the ball go. I won't even try and do it because I really can't. What this enables the bowler to do is to, in effect, throw a palm ball with his hand or his fingers not in the ball. If I were going to try and throw a palm ball, I'd hold it like this and throw it down the lane. These bowlers have mastered this art with their fingers and thumb in the ball, and it creates a giant hook at the back end of the lane. It's very, very effective when there's a lot of oil on the lane because it creates that hook. And because of that hook, they get tremendous carry. In conclusion, the purpose of these 3 wrist positions is to enable the bowler to adjust to a wide range of laying conditions. You try it, especially the straight and the broken wrist position. See if it doesn't help improve your adjustments and thereby improve your average. We'll see you again next week.
And Mike, those slight adjustments in your wrist, release, or approach can really turn your game around, can't they?
Well, they certainly did for me. I made a lot of money just making various adjustments from frame to frame and game to game on wrist positions.
Speaking of money,
it leads us right into our top 10, is led by that same old familiar name, Earl Anthony at $135,000. Marshall Holman over the $100,000 barrier in second. Tom Milton made some more money this week. He's creeping up on that $100,000 mark. He's at $93,000. Joe Berardi at $78,000 is in 4th place. Yours truly at $70,000, and I added a few dollars to it this week. Don Janela holding at $69,000 is in 6th place. Pete Couture in a bit of a slump right now at $66,000. Tom Baker $64,000. Pete Weber at $63,000, and rounding out the top 10, Steve Cook at $57,000.
We told you at the top of our show that the great Earl Anthony announced his retirement this week. Earl started things off at the Northern Ohio Open, winning this event in '74. Since then, some other great bowlers have won here.
Roy Buckley won in '75. Mark Roth in '76. Joe Hutchinson in '77. Marshall Holman 78. Roth again in '79. I snuck in there and won in 1980. Roth took over again in '81, and Guppy Troop won in 1982.
And Mark Good win for the 4th time here at the Northern Ohio Open. Meanwhile, this is where we'll be on the fall tour on USA. October 26th, we'll be in Indianapolis, Indiana for the Kessler Classic. November 2nd at Dearborn Heights, Michigan at the Greater Detroit Open. November 10th, we'll be in upstate New York in Syracuse for the Syracuse Open. November 24th, Glendale Heights, Illinois, the Brunswick Memorial World Open. And we'll wrap things up with the National Resident Pro Championship on December 13th from Chamblee, Georgia. And Mike, you can't commute to those like you did this week from Chagrin Falls, can you?
Georgia's a little bit further.
We'll be back on USA. The bowlers get back to bowling when we return right after these messages coast to coast.
Taking charge. 4 years ago, we introduced Chevy Citation, and it became America's most popular front-drive car. But that wasn't good enough for the engineers. Since that time, they've improved its performance, improved its ride, improved its comfort. And after making so many engineering refinements, we made one more change. The name. Announcing Chevy Citation 2.
Chevrolet.
And you.
Taking charge.
For 8 hours a day, we're doing what we like doing. Can't beat that.
Wanna bet?
Welcome to Miller Time.
Welcome to the rich, smooth taste of Miller High Life.
Spoon fork. Spoon fork. Oh, look. Chunky beef soup. And you eat soup with a spoon, right, Tuttle?
See all that good solid food? Chunks of beef, potatoes, and carrots? It's a meal you eat with a fork. Right, Tuttle?
Soup.
Meal.
Okay, Tuttle. You decide. Is Chunky a soup?
Or meal.
Chunky's the soup that eats like a meal.
Campbell's Chunky Beef, the soup that eats like a meal.
Right, guys?
Right.
There's a lot to be thankful for with USA's sports lineup in November as we continue America's only live coast-to-coast coverage of the NHL. Reach for new heights with Bird, the Iceman, the Doctor, and Moses when we tip off another sensational season of Thursday night and special edition NBA. And the spirit continues on College Football 83, Friday night boxing, the PBA Tour, the finest in tennis, and much more. A feast of sports for you in November, only on USA. The winner of Game 3 here at the Northern Ohio Open will play for the championship here in the 1983 edition of this tournament. Mark Roth trying to follow up his great comeback victory over George Pappas in the game just passed. And Walter Ray Williams Jr. is looking for his first PBA title. That's the situation here. Walter Ray Williams coming in as a much publicized three-time world champion in horseshoe throwing. And if horseshoes bring luck, well, then Mark Roth is in for trouble.
Well, we're going to see a very unusual style with Walter Ray Williams. Right away, Roth wants a re-rack on lane 17. Doesn't like it. During the course of the tournament, that lane did seem to have a problem with the pins being exactly on spot as people were still walking around here. Roth is a little bit upset.
It was one of the first things you said after match play was completed last night, that the rack on 17 was off.
Right, they needed to work on it, and they did. It's much better today. Roth told us in between that he got a little bit soft on those two splits that he got. Wants to maintain the speed. The interesting thing was, as he leaves the weak 10 here, it seemed like that when he left that solid 8, it got him angry, and that anger got the adrenaline going and pumped him up to strike out. Now he's had time to cool off in between games and see if he keeps throwing strikes. He's got to get mad all over again now.
Left two open frames and finished with a 215.
Straight and hard at the 10 pin. Bam. Walter Ray, one of our contemporary players, throws a big hook ball.
Somewhat wincing a little bit. He had a little pain in his right shoulder last night. And that time he was holding his lower back, too.
Force that player. It appears like arms and legs are going everywhere as he sends it out to the right, brings it back, carries the light hit. When he gets strikes going, he is very animated. See how the giant steps, and arms and legs going everywhere, way out on the lane, lifts it. Amazing.
He tosses horseshoes with 88% accuracy at times. They're 40 feet away. The alley is 60 feet.
That cupped wrist underneath the ball. This lane is tighter. He's bringing it in. Solid 10, and we have seen that on lane 17. I don't know how many times today, but several. Pappas left a few.
Roth just left one a moment ago.
But it was Roth was weak. Walter Ray has an interesting way of shooting spares. He's using a harder ball. Plus, he uses only two fingers in the ball, his ring finger and the thumb. Throws it to throw it straight at the spare, and two straight, and it fell in the gutter. Oh, just what he did not want to happen, to give Roth an opening right away.
Yes, that first PBA title will not come easy.
Just fell off his hand a little bit here, and it's just backing up, and it won't bite the lane.
What's the difference between weak and solid 10?
The weak pin is where the 6-pin doesn't get, as he gets a light shaker, does not get up. It does not have, the ball does not have strong enough roll to send that 6-pin to the wall and back up to get the 10. The solid 10 is we get a replay here of Roth's last strike where he'll come in light and the head pin goes to the wall and cleans out the 4-5-7. The solid 10 is where the ball hits the pin so hard the 6 flies up and over or around the 10 and never touches it. A little soft. Right there, though. He's got it down now. I thought he had to stroke that ball, but the ball held pocket for him.
It's a 22-pin lead for the great PBA veteran Mark Roth.
And Walter Ray sees an opening to it's like bleeding in front of a shark to open in front of Mark Roth. Sends it out. Here it comes. There's your weak 10. You see the ball, the 6-pin would not get up to get that 10. That's the weak 10 right there. Usually that happens for one of two reasons. Either the player didn't get enough lift on his fingers, or the ball came in behind the pocket, and it's such an angle that the 6-pin goes to the wall and kind of dies there. Again, 2 fingers at the spare, and he's got this one. 18's hooking a little bit more than 17, and
he was still a little nervous about that.
Yes, he was.
Here's a look at where we are right now.
28 in the second, spare up. 20 in the first with a double working, the difference 22 pins. Walter Ray takes very little time. A little high, and trips the 4-7 out. He claps his hands together.
Well, he clapped so hard, I think he blew that pin down. Now back to Mark Roth in the 4th frame and his second TV appearance in 2 weeks.
We may set a record for the shortest game ever bowled with these two players bowling. Comes in light and gets the bucket crumbler off the wall.
Not the easiest way to strike, but
he'll take it. Now, he barely hits the head pin with this ball. The ball ticks the head pin and just ticked the 2-pin, and the 2-pin fell in with something else into the 5/8 there.
Is that a result of his power?
No, that's probably a result somewhat of the power and the pins with these double voids that we have. Just on a more substantial pin, that ball never would have struck. Back in the 1-3 pocket, and gets a rough tap over 10, and he's off and running. Getting all the breaks this game.
Mark Roth roaring his way through this game. Now 4 straight strikes and an amazing 42-pin lead. We'll be back with Williams and Roth on USA in just a moment.
The Angle Ball, the big winner on last winter's Pro TV Tour. 4 times more wins than any other ball. Inspires Angle winning wear for your winning lifestyle. Angle shirts, winners wear them everywhere. Angle bowling shoes, fast lock. Angle bags that travel the world. For your winning lifestyle, Angle winning wear at pro shops only.
Move that Chevy in next, okay? 5 more minutes.
How's it going?
Busy. We're loading a lot of tires out of here.
Goodyear's super sale.
Right. We're almost through the sale, but we've got plenty of tires. Over $250,000 on sale nationwide.
That's a lot.
Not the way they're going here. This one gets a set of radios.
Got 'em. Great sale prices, great savings. Time and tires are going fast. Be there. The sale ends Saturday, October 29th. Save with #1, Goodyear.
Do you do this too? Does a pencil in your hand start you sketching on any old piece of paper, drawing heads or figures or little scenes or maybe your dog? If you like to play around with a pencil, chances are you have the basic interest needed to help you become a serious art student. Here's how you can find out. Art instruction schools will send you free, without cost or obligation, this simple art drawing test. You take it at home in your spare time. Experts will examine and grade your test. Remember, it's absolutely free. Just write or phone for your free drawing test today.
Write to Art Test, Box 49648, Atlanta, Georgia, 30359. Give your name, address, and age. Or phone this number, 1-800-USA-1000. Operators are standing by. Send your name, address, and age to Art Test, Box 49648, Atlanta, Georgia, 30359. Or call toll-free 1-800-USA-1000.
This man is in big trouble. Walter Ray Williams, Jr. from Pomona, California, 23 years old and growing up quickly as he battles Mark Roth.
Well, he's down by 42 pins. We're bowling in the 5th frame, and it's almost a must-strike for him already. His best finish this year was 3rd in the true value, and he wants to improve on that. He needs to defeat Roth to do that. And is he going to get the 10? No. Good shot. Just did not get a good break on that. Pin came across the lane, but couldn't knock the 10 out of there. And he's in big trouble as he takes the other ball, shoot the 10-pin. Two fingers of this, ring finger and the thumb. Has the spare. But right now, you're already thinking in potentials. The best Walter Ray can do if he strikes all the way out with 7 straight strikes is 238. As we see the difference there, 80 with a double working for Roth, 68 with a spare working. The difference, 42 pins. Back in the pocket, solid 10 again. 3 10-pins already. Or is it 4? It's 4 10-pins. He's got 4 10-pins in 6 frames. And there's his mother, Esther.
Esther Williams. She told me just a few minutes ago that she's not a good swimmer.
Has the 10-pin. No problem. Roth, who's gotten all the breaks this game, now can absolutely put his opponent away. Here it comes. He has what is known, Alan, as that killer instinct. There's no mercy in Mark Roth.
In no other sport is it more appropriate to say you're on a roll than Mark Roth is. 5 straight strikes. He'll get set to bowl in the 7th frame now. He finished 3rd this year at the Firestone Tournament of Champions, and for all the awards and all the accolades he's received, that's been the one title that has eluded him.
If he wins today, he can be second all-time, second in the number of titles all by himself. Go ahead of Dick Weber. Comes in light and blows him out of there in the 7-pin fall. And as you say, he is on a roll, and when he gets it going, there's nobody that does it better. I can't make out what he said. Could you read his lips there? Because you see that smack those hands there. I think he said, come on.
And finally, the smile.
And another 10-pin, and it falls. Walter Ray hasn't given up. 63 pins down with 3 frames to go, but he hasn't given up. But if he strikes all the way out, the best he can do is 227, and Roth would have to open twice.
Come on, get down. All right.
He hasn't bowled a bad game. He's had every ball in the pocket. The 10-pin just would not cooperate. It's a little high. Leaves the 7-10. The 4-pin trips out. He can't believe it.
Now, who was the last one to make this on television?
His opponent. The one and only one to make this on television, as far as I know.
Mark Roth.
It goes a little bit high right here. The 2-pin goes to the wall. The 10-pin staying. The 2-pin trips out the 4. Leaving the 7-10. And it bounced around back there, but it's all academic now. Mark Roth is going to go on to face Ted Hattis for the Northern Ohio Open. Mark even has a bad wreck on 18, and he's shooting. He doesn't even care at this point.
I don't know how you can see that.
Well, the 3-pin is in close. He breaks up the split, leaves the 3-6-10. Just lost concentration right now. And he's just finishing it out.
Would the bad rack have anything to do with that result?
I doubt it. Right now, he's just finishing out the game. Wants to keep his concentration, keep his stroke. Williams is going to finish 3rd again, equaling his best finish. As well as he bowled this week, as Roth threw the ball straight at the 3-6-10. Mark is a great spare shooter, but very seldom does he hook a ball with a spare. He'll hook a ball at, say, the 7-pin or the 4-pin or the 4-7. Most of the others, he throws the ball straight in. And when he throws it hard and straight, it goes down there on a line. Oh, he's lost his line just a little bit. The match is over, and suddenly he's relaxed. He's eased up a little bit. 6-7. Last 2 shots both through the nose.
So does he smiled. 2 frames ago.
Right. Told you, he's got to be bad to bowl well. That's what he had going throughout the entire last half of the 70s. He was always angry, and he was always winning. 9 out. He's in 214 in the 9th frame. Walter Ray, the best he can do if he strikes out is 195. And he's only had one ball high. Missed a spare. Puts it right back in the pocket. That one carries. It goes so fast, Alan. You get one opportunity. He's bowled all year. He's made one other championship round. And the game is over so fast before he knows what's happened. It's over.
Yes, he had all day to think about it.
There's Roth just blowing out a little air, saying, let me at Hennis.
Mark sat around today and watched soap operas. It was a rainy day in Cleveland today.
As it is a lot of times. There he finishes out with a double. First one of the match for him.
I would imagine every time you appear on TV, you get a little bit older in a bowling maturity sense.
Definitely, you get more used to it. But you're always nervous. At least I am. I'm always nervous.
Well, when you stop being nervous, that's when I guess you just stop bowling.
I guess you stop breathing then, yeah, or something. Back in the pocket again. At least he finishes out with a respectable 195 with one more strike.
I mean, Mark Williams hasn't won a title yet, and he just gets nervous to do stats for us, right?
Finishes it out. Another solid 10. 5 of them in the game. Boy, 194 sure could have been a lot more. 5 10 pins.
When the night is over, Walter Ray is probably going to run down the lane and kick that 10 pin over.
Well, I'll join him. There's a 10 pin for Roth.
And Roth may join the two of you.
Mark picks it up. He can finish with 234. Interesting, he had 7 strikes last game for 216. If he makes this and strikes, he'd have 7 strikes here for 234. It bounced out again. Did you see that? He would have had the 17. I wonder how many of those he's made in his life. I'll bet he's made a bunch.
It will be 230-something for Mark. Last ball of the match. Ted Hanners, meanwhile, throws a practice ball off about 10 lanes to our right.
Right over the third arrow. Right solid, the 1-3 pocket. 234. Fine exhibition of bowling by Roth.
Mark Roth, 234. Walter Ray Williams Jr., 194. For Mark Roth, he'll be bowling for his first title since 1982, and he'll be going up against Ted Hanners, who hasn't won one since 1981. The championship match of the Northern Ohio Open is coming up next.
Make your move to Chevrolet's new Celebrity. Move into the comfort of more passenger room than 91 out of 95 import cars. Move into Celebrity and the traction of front drive. Try to find any other front drive automobile that gives you more passenger room for less.
Chevrolet!
And you
Taking charge!
On my bigger day, let me buy a beer. Sure. These fans, I love them. When I came in, they didn't recognize me at first, but then when I told them who I was, next thing you know, they're buying me my favorite beer, light beer from Miller. They know us ex-big leaguers drink light because it's got a third less calories than their regular beer. It's less filling, and it tastes great. Thanks.
Hey, it's a pleasure to buy a beer for a great pitcher like Whitey Ford.
So I lied.
Like beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Hey, Whitey, I thought you were a lefty.
Oh, that's right.
This product has helped millions to break the habit. No Smoke was formulated and designed by leading physicians in the field of smoking cessation and has been proven effective by more than 15 years of research and testing.
You know, I tried to quit smoking for 15 years. Nothing worked until No Smoke. The great thing is, all you do is chew it like gum, and it makes cigarettes taste awful.
I never knew how much money I was spending on cigarettes until I quit. Well, I'm glad I quit. My husband's glad I quit. And she's glad I quit.
No Smoke, the long-awaited smoking deterrent in easy, pleasant-tasting chewing gum form. Now smokers who want to quit have the help they need.
Order now by calling this toll-free number,
You or perhaps someone you love can benefit by no smoke. Call 1-800-USA-1000. Use your MasterCard or Visa. You'll receive a 3-week supply of no smoke. Don't wait. There will never be a better time than right now to clear the air with no smoke.
One of these men will win $13,000 tonight in the championship match of the 1983 Northern Ohio Open. Mark Roth, who's won here 3 times before, goes up against Ted Hannes of Zanesville, Ohio. He has won 1 PBA title, and that came 2 years ago. And after a while, it becomes a mental thing for you.
It certainly does. As well as Ted has bowled over the last 2 years not to have won, I know he just wants to win desperately here to get himself back eligible for the Firestone Tournament of Champions, and just to prove something to himself, where he gave that tournament away earlier this year in Grand Prairie.
Ted has done very, very well in bowling, and earlier I talked to him about that and the fact that he hasn't won in quite some time. That was earlier this afternoon. The last time that Ted Hannes won a PBA title, it was Waukegan, Illinois, 1981. Since that time, plenty of close calls and even a very unique PBA record. Most money won without stepping into the winner's circle last year. Ted, that means a great deal of consistency, and that's to your credit, but it also means a lot of frustration, too. Tell me about it.
Well, it has been frustrating in the aspect that I've had a few chances to win tournaments. I would say in 1982 that I had 2 or 3 legitimate chances out of the 7 TV shows that I made. And but as far as the consistency goes, I worked on that from the 81 to 82 break. And I just made sure that I wanted to master, or try and master, most of the conditions that the tour puts out. And I feel that I've done that, and maybe I've become a little too consistent and haven't concentrated on one that's just been for my game. But this week it all gelled together.
I would think it's all part of the maturing process, finding your own niche, finding how to approach each tournament, finding out how to put up with the week-to-week grind. Is that how you see it?
That's true. You have to prepare yourself for each week, and I know mentally I try and get myself ready. I try and get 100% out of myself every week, and if I don't, I feel a little dissatisfied, but mentally I'm always ready.
Now, in this world of sports and television, it doesn't take much imagination to realize that bowlers from time to time receive extra money from using a certain ball or using a wristlet or some type of shirt or whatever it may be. You had a bad experience with that. You did try to do that, and that was basically a short-term gain and a long-term loss, wasn't it, that night?
It sure was. You're referring to the Quaker State Open in February. It was held in Grand Prairie, Texas. I used a kinetic controller, which didn't affect my first ball any, and I started off with the first 6 in a row, and I would have been a little more wealthy if I'd had 6 more in a row, because they paid $50,000 for a 300 game. But it hurt my spare shooting, and I missed 2 out of the 3 spares that I shot at, and I eventually lost by about 15 pins, so it did make a difference.
Well, that was then, and this is now. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, Alan.
And as these two shake hands, you can see there is nothing on the wrist of Ted Hannes tonight.
But there's something on his mind, that's for sure. And that's how to defeat Mark Roth. Roth takes no more time for a championship match than he does any other game. Right in there, starts with a ring and 10, and he could see it coming. He was looking for it all the way. Mark defeated Williams 234 to 194, and defeated Pappas 216. What did George shoot? 190? 195, I think George shot.
Had a great comeback in his first game and basically cruised in his second. And now the first ball for Ted Hannes, who averaged a 215.9 this week. Just 0.3 less than Mark Roth. Just a slight feather touch with his index finger.
Tremendous speed. Too much. Breaks it down, leaves a bad break to 278 right away. Just threw that ball too hard. Just too hard. Ted has a style that works for him, but one that you wouldn't recommend others, in that he drifts so far to the left here. That foot goes across. He's leaning forward. He is so strong that he pulls the ball through. Gets tremendous stuff, has a beautiful hand release, but that one he didn't get out of cleanly.
Watch how high his leg gets in the air after the release. Tough spare to convert.
And doesn't make it. Open in the first frame. What a way to start. Down 11 pins right away.
Has that happened in every match so far? That someone's left an open frame? I'm not sure, but
within the first 2 frames, yeah. Within the first 2 frames, every match so far. Gibson opened right away. Walter Ray opened in the second frame. Ted chose to finish on this lane. Very cool performer. The pressure doesn't seem to bother him. Right in there. Gets the 10 pin out. Great roll on that shot. Snap that 10 pin right out of it. See how far forward he leans, and then he comes through that tremendous upper body strength. The 6 goes to the wall here and snaps out that 10.
Roth right away, back on the approach.
Right over the third arrow. Coming in light. Ooh, and leaves the 10 pin this time. He's been carrying that hit so well. This time he leaves the 10 pin. 2 10 pins back to back.
Mark's best game this week at 268. In beating Walter Ray Williams Jr., he beat the only man who threw a perfect game this week.
His average on this TV pair was 234 during the week. He converts the 10 pin again, and that pin wanted to bounce up and out. Ten-pin difference right now. Roth looking for his first strike. Hannes working on a strike.
And the 10 pin could be the difference, the way it's been played.
Sure, it could be. You're right. The bowler that has the ability to carry that 10 pin on the first hit. Back in the pocket. And no 10 pin there. Got the wall shot.
I think he was a little worried about that one after the release.
Well, he knew it wasn't going to be solid, which might be the best thing. Stay away from the solid hit. Goes to the wall. The head pin will go to the wall and come back and get the 4-5-7. Classic wall shot that Dick Weber made famous. And Ted wants a re-rack on lane 18.
And his trails by 10 pins.
Ted is a very meticulous player, takes his time. In fact, of all the players on tour, he probably is one of the 2 that takes more time than any other of the players. There's 2 players on tour that probably take more time than anyone else. But he makes it work for himself.
Ted's 1983 earnings place him 21st on the list. Now, let's see if we can get a look at his approach. He starts 1 foot forward, then hesitates.
Then the feet cross. They come back together. Better shot this time. A little tight, and it holds for a double. Pretty shot. We got an even match right now. Both players on strikes. See that foot now crosses over back? He doesn't know whether it's going to hold at this point, and it does. Solid, the 1-3 pocket. But I'm telling you, if he were an iota slower with that speed, he would have had a split.
Now, Mike, he just took a piece of paper out of his pocket and read something. What type of thing could he have read off that piece of paper?
You got me. There's a scoreboard showing we have an even match. Some players have motivational things they put in their pocket. I have no idea what he's got.
He might have just said 13000 on that piece of paper.
Back in the pocket, and there's the solid 10. He was standing up expecting it.
Boy,
there's been so many of those by all the players.
Somebody took the glue off that thing.
And I can hear my coach out in California right now saying if the guys were using 14-pound balls, they'd be carrying them. There's his wife, Julie, and she looks as nervous as he is. Cross lane at the 10 pin. And he dropped it, but it went straight at it. Woo. He dropped that ball. The ball went straight at the 10 pin. He throws it straight. He flattens it out at the 10 pin.
It's only a 1-pin difference.
Roth working on a strike. Head by 1. Can increase it to 11. Right over the third arrow again. In the pocket. And carries it. Pretty shot.
back up to double digits for Mark Roth. In his 2 previous matches, averaging a 224.5. With a career championship round record of 47 and 57 and an incredible 75 TV appearances.
That is incredible. 75. Wow. Is he going to hold? No, it's high. 3-6. Just turned over the top of that ball. Didn't get out of the thumb hole clean. That's the first bad shot he's made in 2 games. Watch how he shoots this spare. I expect him to throw hard and straight right at the 3-pin. Try and hit the 3-pin on the right, and the ball would take out both pins. Be very surprised if he threw a hook at this shot. And he does. Straight at it. Has both pins with the ball. Pretty spare.
And one of the great spare masters of the game converts it in the 5th frame. It is a 9-pin lead for Mark Roth. Ted Hannes will be bowling when we return and continue our coverage of the championship match of the Northern Ohio Open on USA. That comes your way in a moment.
Fresh and clean as a whistle. That's Irish Spring. Fresh and clean as a whistle.
Irish Spring's green and white stripes have 2 truly effective deodorants. 2 deodorants.
And a fine fresh scent. So you're fresh and
clean as a whistle.
That's Irish Spring deodorant soap. Gets you fresh and clean as a whistle.
The Angle Ball, the big winner on last winter's Pro TV Tour. 4 times more wins than any other ball. Inspires Angle winning wear for your winning lifestyle. Angle shirts, winners wear them everywhere. Angle bowling shoes, fast lock. Angle bags that travel the world. For your winning lifestyle, Angle winning wear at pro shops only.
Chevy Tough is taking charge. Moisture and road salt are murder on a pickup. But Tough Chevy S10 comes with built-in corrosion-fighting zinc-coated steel to help guard against rust. While Ford Ranger uses about 93 square feet, Chevy S10 gives you almost 3 times more zinc-treated steel, about 277 square feet. For year-round protection, Chevy S10's got you covered with tough corrosion-fighting steel. Chevy Tough is taking charge.
Thursday, the Old Guard battles the Rising Stars on USA Special Edition NHL. Montreal's crafty veterans Guy Lafleur and Larry Robinson aim to tame hotshots Dino Ciccarelli, Neil Broughton, and the Minnesota North Stars. Save some time for USA's Special Edition NHL, the Canadiens, and the North Stars. Tomorrow, live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on USA. Our coverage will not be seen in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. The situation is this at the midway point of our championship match. Mark Roth with a 9-pin lead, and just moments ago, maybe a little bit of a superstitious move by Ted Hannes. He told his wife Julie to get up. He sat in the chair for about 5 seconds, and then he got back up to bowl. Now watch this.
We get a look at his feet here. The left foot will shuffle forward. Now the right foot crosses over. The left foot comes back, and the right foot goes over again. Back in the pocket to carry solid. The reason for that, Alan, what happened was Ted uses a little vial of stickum or powder to put on his fingers. He's going to it right now as we see him throw the strike on lane 18. So he had that sitting on the 2 chairs that we have, one of the 2 chairs. Roth was using the other chair. He wanted to sit down for a few minutes in between, so he's asked his wife to get up and move while he sat down. He can take the lead for the first time in the match if he can double here on lane 17. There's the difference. 9 pins. Hannes strikes here. He goes in front by 1 pin. Both players seem to have the pocket. We ought to be in for an exciting finish here. The last half of this match.
His left hand barely touches the ball on his approach.
4-pin. Just a little tight. Didn't trip the 4-pin out. And it remains 9 pins in favor of Mark Roth.
Hannes returned to Waukegan this year. The last tournament that he won 2 years ago, finished 6th.
It's very interesting how some bowlers are able to return to the same house or bowling center and bowl with great success consistently.
There we see. Wrist right straight behind it. But he'll throw the ball straight at the spare. No hook at all. Has it easily. See him break that wrist a little bit? Shoot at that spare.
Well, that's where he had that problem. With that wrist.
Correct.
That wrist, what do you call it?
Well, we won't...
a wrist brace?
Solid 10. Roth leaves another 10 pin, the third of the match. Right now, Mark is the only player among our 5 TV finalists that's been able to bowl 200 on the telecast today. Of course, it's still possible for Hannes to do that, as the difference remains 9 pins.
And just to show you that it's just a lane condition that somehow has occurred tonight, all the bowlers have averaged well over 200 for this whole week.
As that 10 pin bounces out around there again. Amazing how he gets that pin dancing. He throws so hard at it. There we see 106 to 98. The difference 8 pins. 4 frames to go. Roth, who went high on 17 the last time, will probably just try and throw a little bit harder this time. Light. And there's the old famous Mark Roth light scatter hit. Interesting to see if Ted asks for a re-rack right now. It looks like that 3 pin is just a little bit in on lane 18. But he's going to shoot it. Roth, see how far he gets down the lane? Ball comes in light. Best percentage hit today. That wall shot's carried every time. We're solid. Certainly hasn't. Ted's hit this lane the last 2 times on it. Gave it too much room. Leaves the 2, 4, 5, 8. Big shot there that cuts 4 pins down. Puts the lead now at 12 pins by Roth if he makes the spare. You always want to keep it under 10 where a double would get you right back in the match. Now he's fallen 12 pins behind and he's in big trouble. Has to make this difficult spare. Threw it straight at it and made it. Boy, didn't know he was going to chop that 2 off the 5 or nothing. He got it right on target. Three frames to go. The difference 12 pins. So he goes back to his rosin. You're right. He's reading that piece of paper again. I know Ted comes to the Bible study I have a lot of times, and all I can think is maybe that's a Bible verse that he's pulling out of his pocket and reading it as Julie looks on.
Nervous. See the lump in her throat.
It's so important. It's just so important. This means so much to Ted Hannes. He's there. Pretty shot. Pretty shot as his wife applauds. But he is helpless now as Roth gets up to bowl the next 2 frames. Good shot here. Well out of the lane. The ball's just solid in the 1-3 pocket. Roth is up by 12. Can increase it to 22 if he can double. Right over the target again. Light. Doesn't get the 10 pin, and Hannes has life. Hannes has life. In fact, this could really go down to an exciting match here. If Roth makes this spare, which I'm sure he will, would strike out, he would finish with 226. Ted Hannes is potential 224. So a lot of things still working in here. We have potential, but either player can still win, a tie, a lot of things. Cross lane at the 10 pin, has it dead center, or not quite dead center.
Slid off there just at the last minute.
Sure did. He threw it awful hard.
Still a 12-pin lead.
Well, I'm nervous just sitting up here watching.
Roth not happy. Here's the story.
146, 134. The difference, Hannes has a strike working, and Hannes will finish first. What Mark wants to do is strike here in the 9th so that Ted doesn't have the opportunity to strike out and lock him out. He has to strike here in the 9th frame. He's high. 369. That cuts it back under 10 pins as he grabs his hair. Tough spare, too. He has a difficult spare. He could give the lead to Hannes sitting on the bench. He's going to have to throw a hook. He's trying to figure out how to make this spare. He knows it's going high. He just puts his hands right up by his head. He's going to have to throw a hook at the spare, I think. Yeah, he did. And get it on the outside. He says, all right, a break. But his fate now is not in his own hands. Ted Hannes is asking for a re-rack, and if I were bowling on lane 18, I would also. It's just so important at this stage of the game. You don't want any solid 10s or 8s or anything right now, especially a solid 10. Nothing he can do about an 8. He looks at that piece of paper again.
Just put it in his pocket.
It's got to be something motivational, Alan. It absolutely has to be something motivational that he's reading.
Well, he's got my interest piqued. I want to find out what that is when this is over.
Ted can win it himself. Strike here and 2 in the 10th. This is a big, big shot for the lead. Gave it a lot of room. It's coming back. Oh, pretty shot. Boy, did he lift that ball. It just came roaring back. He takes the lead by 1 pin. We have so many situations set up here now, Alan. So many. As he's asking for a re-rack, we see there 134, double working, 163. He's had his 3 re-racks. Harry Golden now, our tournament director, has to give his approval on this one. He's looking at it. Is he going to give it to him? In a crucial situation last year, and I believe it was in Portland, he did not give it to him, but he is this time. But to get back to the situation at hand, if Ted would strike, get 9 in a spare, it would finish with 213. Roth could strike out for 213. If he gets 9, the first ball, spare and a strike, he finished with 203. Roth could strike spare for 203. If he strikes twice, he's a winner.
Okay, y'all got that?
There's Mark looking on. He knows his fate is not in his own hands, and he's kicking himself in the rear end right now for that shot in the 9th frame. Ted picked a finish on lane 17. I didn't see if he went to the piece of paper again, did you?
No.
Something bothered his concentration. Ted does that often. Does that often. Usually he puts the ball down and starts all over again. It's the most important shot of his career right now. And he can't get the ball to feel right on his hand, and now he sets it down and starts over again. It might be pulling on his thumb or something. He feels it slipping off as he starts. That's what I think is happening, is he feels that ball slipping off his thumb as he starts, and he wants everything perfect for this shot. And I don't blame him. You don't get any second chances out here. Boy, it's deadly quiet. Slide's not going to make it. 1, 2, 4. Oh, the pressure was just too much. It was just a tremendously difficult shot to throw. He gives the lead to Roth sitting on the bench, and he's in big trouble now. He has to make this spare. He's going to throw the ball straight at the spare. And he missed it. Oh.
My goodness.
Finishes with 189. Finishes with 189. And, oh, I just feel so bad for Ted. Right now, Roth needs 8 and 9 out, as far as I can see. And he takes a re-rack. If he gets 9 on his first ball, he's a winner automatically. And Ted is very cool, and he's such a likable young man. It's just... Mark knows he's been handed it on a silver platter. He just has to get 9 on that first ball, hit that pocket, and he's going to be high. No, it held. Boy, that ball was left to target and held, and that's it. Mark Roth is your winner.
Almost a year to the weekend. Mark Roth last won almost a year ago in Limerick, Pennsylvania.
This ball hits left of target, but he threw it so hard, he's saying hold, and it did. That one's even further left. That was what I thought the other one was going to do, and it goes Brooklyn.
He went to the borough of New York City where he was born. For that one. He was born in Sheepshead Bay and grew up there.
For the 4th time, Mark Roth is the Northern Ohio PBA champion. 4 times. He'd like to take this house back to New York with it.
Yeah. And an appropriate way to end the evening bowling, leaving the 10-pin standing. Mark Roth wins his 28th title. He now stands alone as the 2nd highest title holder in PBA history. Number 28, 212-189. A frustrating ending for Ted Hannes. We'll be back to Westgate Lanes in Fairview Park, Ohio in just a moment on USA. A $13,000 check coming up for Mark Roth.
All right, we're up 15. We got this game won.
Yeah, you got to buy the light beer from Miller. Yeah, nice filly.
One out to go. Yeah, what can he do to us now?
Hey, I'll keep the change. Here's Rodney!
My turn!
Any pinch hitters left? Here I am. Come on,
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Hey, wait a minute. This game isn't over yet. I caught that ball.
Of the best-selling motor oils today, 14 now save gas. But only one saves gas. Offers cold weather starting down to 35 degrees below zero. And the best engine protection under extreme heat. In fact, the best engine protection you can give your car. Only one. Mobile One.
In the West, where Levi Strauss & Company began, how your clothes feel has always been just as important as how they look. That's why Levi's Action Slacks have an easy care fabric that gives, plus a waistband that moves with you. It's a feeling of comfort that's capturing more men every day. Levi's Action Slacks. A real comfort from Levi's Menswear.
It is a tremendous story of domination here at Westgate Lanes. Mark Roth winning the Northern Ohio Open title for the 4th time. It really was something special. As Ted Hannes was bowling tonight, I'm sure a lot of you folks at home watching on USA and some of you people here tonight noticed he kept dipping into his pocket for a piece of paper. I just thought we'd solve the mystery. The piece of paper said, God and I can do it. And while Ted came oh so close tonight, I think that kind of faith will come true for him in the future. He really gave us a great match tonight. With me now is the president of Westgate Lanes, Mr. Jim Carney. Mr. Carney, I have 3 pieces of paper here. One says we're in North Olmsted, one says we're in Rocky River, and one says we're in Fairview Park. Tell us where we are, and then give Mark Roth his prizes.
We're in Fairview Park. Rocky River is right across the street, and North Olmsted is where our other tournament is held.
Okay, great. Now, $13,000 and a trophy for Mark Roth.
Thank you, Jim.
Congratulations. Here's a check, and here's your trophy.
I'd like to thank Jim and Tom Wilkins and his staff here for hosting the tournament, and they've done a great job. Thanks again.
Jim, thank you very much. Now, Mike, Mark Roth has 28 of these trophies. That's second only to Earl Anthony. You've had quite a career, and it was a long drought for you, though, almost a year.
It was a year. Last win was Limerick, Pennsylvania last year. I like the house. I bowl very well in Cleveland, and maybe I should move to Cleveland.
Mike, I'm a Browns fan, huh?
It was a rough start for Mark in that match against George Pappas.
We made that big comeback in the match against Pappas. I'm curious, though. You were sitting there in the 9th frame, or you finished when you made a bad shot in the 9th frame. Hannes doubled, and you're sitting on the bench. He has a chance to strike out and lock you out. What were you thinking then?
Well, I was just hoping he would come close and not strike. You know, he's hitting the pocket real well. I just hope maybe he might get, 10 pin or so and give me a chance to beat him.
You were holding your shoulder, you were holding your back. You looked beat up out there at times. You okay?
Well, I stuck a couple of times and I pulled something in my back, but it really wasn't that bad.
Now, we said you bowl the best when you're angry. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. That solid 8 in the first game got me very upset, and after that, I bowled real well. Made good shots, and things fell into place.
Mark Roth angry and $13,000 richer. For Mike Durbin and Mark Roth and everybody here at Westgate Lanes, good night, everybody, from somewhere in Ohio. The $100,000 Northern Ohio Open on USA has been brought to you in part by light beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer. And less. By Mobil 1 synthetic motor oil. You can't get better engine protection. By Levi's Menswear, makers of Levi's Action Slacks. By Chevrolet. Chevrolet is USA 1, and USA 1 is taking charge. And by AMF, makers of angle winning wear. What winners wear everywhere.
Home building slows. That story and more next.
Jarris, possible 279. Duke, possible 268.
Oh.
He's on a near perfect game.
Well, he's been flush in the pocket every shot except for one, and that was a sweeper strike that he threw a couple of frames ago. Left the 4-pin in the 7th.
Coming out in the 10th, what does he need to wrap it up here as he steps up on the
He needs 2 strikes. With Duke, possible 268. Jarris can get into the 270s with 2 strikes. And we've got another opportunity for a tie.
Again right there.
Well, here's the biggest shot of the week. Jarris has never, ever trailed in this tournament